Hey there, it's your host, Eric, from the Machine of Nonsense. Before we get to the bracket of nonsense, I just wanted to let everyone know this will be a spoiler-heavy discussion. We can't really describe these characters in full without, kind of really going into spoiler territory, given big plot points of the various games, movies, and TV shows that they are a part of. So if you're afraid of spoilers, I would just recommend maybe skipping forward when a particular character is being talked about, just in case, if you really care about that character and you really care about spoilers. So just wanted to warn you guys, and on to the episode. Hey there, it's the Machine of Nonsense, episode 37. We're doing the bracket of nonsense, specifically the Magneto bracket. Yes, Magneto, voted on by the fans to lead one section of the bracket. We have 8 head-to-head matchups. 16 of our favorite characters enter. 8 will leave. Let's see who's on the episode today. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Kayla.
Hello, hello.
And we got Aaron.
Hello.
Mike.
Hey.
And Tomas.
How's it going?
So, us 5 versus 16 characters. We're going to tell you who is better than who. We're starting off with a barn burner. We've got Magneto, the people's champ, the fan vote.
Oh no.
Versus Thanos of the MCU. So this is the Magneto depicted in the Sony Pictures movie Marvel Universe. So this is Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender. And this is the Thanos, who's mostly a CGI monster, but voiced by Josh Brolin. What do you guys think? Well, first, let's see. Who should defend
Magneto.
the honor of Magneto? Who wants to defend the
I'll
honor
do it.
of Magneto? You got it. Oh, go, Mike. Started us off.
Give me that Fassbender.
So this character in this franchise kind of kicked off a lot of what we're still, talking about every day, which is like these comic book movies and stuff like that. And we're using McKellen and Fassbender for this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because they have future past.
Okay. I think both of these actors nailed different versions of this character. I think Ian McKellen was kind of more of an over-the-top comic book arch villain aspect of Magneto, which was great. And Fassbender was more like shit that made Magneto, like all that he went through, concentration camps and shit like that, and like just being a stone cold fucking badass in those movies. I think in to get that first one,
First class.
yeah, thank you, First Class. Just when he makes that turn at the end with that final confrontation with Kevin Bacon, it was like,
Baconator.
this is like the definitive version of this character for me. And I thought he was still the best parts in the lesser ones too. It's just a great character. It's just he's like besides Wolverine, I think Magneto has been the foundation of that franchise.
I put in Thanos, and I just wanted to say that they are kind of similar in that fact. They're both like the bad guys that are willing to do like the bad stuff. They're just gonna do it for what they think is right for their humanity. They're very similar in that way.
Well, Magneto's doing it for mutant kind, but yeah.
I said
Almost
for them.
superior.
racist.
Sure.
Well, he's
Their humanity, I said specifically. I guess that means Thanos is better because Thanos does it for all kind, you know.
But think about
making a
meme
better
culture
universe.
and what Magneto has brought to the meme game. All right, that 3-frame meme with Jennifer Lawrence's character is just way superior than any inevitable meme or anything like that.
I would have to say, yeah, the Magneto memes are better. Fassbender memes are better. That's true. I think the biggest thing with Thanos, and this is just, it's an unfortunate draw for Magneto because, kind of like Nelson said, Magneto walked so Thanos could snap. You know, right? Like, it's Thanos is kind of the culmination of Thanos is so kind of amazing and singular that he has created a problem, I think, in my opinion, for the MCU going forward. Like, they built up this dude for 10 years, basically, 20 movies, all of these little references, everything else, wrapped it up pretty cleanly, pretty nicely, and everything else. And it's like, where do you go from there? That's how singular Thanos is as a character in the MCU. And I feel like you can't really say the same for Magneto in that sense. Like, he could easily, you could have him again. Like, you could just have Magneto, another Magneto movie, and no one, I think, would bat an eye, and it would even maybe make sense. Maybe be a good decision.
Right into the X-Men timeline.
Right, like
Thanos meets Magneto.
Whoa! For a character that was just like at the end of Avengers Stinger, and nobody knew what the heck he was about, to pull it off as well as they did, I thought, in those two movies was very impressive. To create a character and that we really cared about, and they didn't have a great track record of doing that with villains. They were the constant weak point of these movies, and they created an all-timer.
Good thought.
I don't know.
Big glove to fill.
It's tough. Magneto's got a tough draw here.
That's definitely part of it. You go through watching the whole MCU and you follow along with it, you build up with it, you just fully buy into his deep diabolical plan that he's had. He's just one step ahead all the time with the stones. Does fun stuff with the stones to get past certain enemies.
The meteor moment in Infinity War when he just brings down it's a cool callback to the fighting games and stuff that he was in.
Yeah.
Even his
so cool.
Initial introduction where he just owns the Hulk, not even at full power. He just owns the strongest of the Avengers.
No power, he's just fucking Thanos.
Yeah, he's got one stone or two at that point, maybe, whatever. It just sets that beginning of Infinity War for me. That first 20 minutes or whatever it is that's I don't know. That's just peak superhero movie, peak MCU. If you don't love that 20 minutes, you don't have a fucking heart.
Yeah,
the culmination of a decade's worth of work, and that's the thing is the only thing that I can really add to this is I think that Magneto's a character that this can be done with properly because there's plenty of X-Men lore over the years and years. They got such a huge back catalog of comics, and his character has grown and developed over those years. But it's but that hasn't happened. And we're talking about this version of Magneto. We have what we have. Thanos. That was the crescendo of that whole entire chunk of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, yeah.
We're all part of that too, so it's hard to take away from that as well. It's I can't remember how many opening weekends we went to as a group too, just to go see this. It was more than just movies. It was this is something that's never really been done. So
it's an experience.
Yeah, and Magneto doesn't really have that in a cinematic form, at least.
Yeah. Well, I think
So-
we can probably call it and move on.
Yeah,
I
all love and
I love
respect.
Magneto so much.
Yeah,
I really do. He's like one of my favorite characters.
I think
Like,
Magneto suffers from the fact that none of the X-Men movies are good. Like they're all at best okay. Like they're both good characters, but then Thanos is sitting in one of the top movies of the last.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the
20
peak
years.
of the best franchise.
So,
He's like literally. the
I think
top.
he could be an awful character, and it still would be hard to pick Magneto because Magneto is sitting in a bunch of really like kind of like B-class
Mediocre.
movies that are
Yeah.
not with the exception of like his character and like Professor Xavier aren't well acted. Pretty much aren't really well cast. It has lines like "What happens to toads when they're struck by lightning?"
hey, whoa.
yeah,
memorable.
True.
Like,
Still quoting it today.
so I love Magneto. I think just based on his character, I like Magneto better. I think the ultimate motivation of just I want to kill half of everybody is just like, oh, okay, that's what you're trying to do. Okay.
Yeah, and if you
I
take
don't-
comic Thanos too, he's like literally just a mad like tyrant. Like, you know,
Yeah,
his
it's-
his motivations are less just in the comics for eradicating half of existence.
Well, I would think in MCU they actually are too. I think that's his excuse, but you know, it's
Yeah, but still,
He's the only one who knows it. He's the
All
only
right.
one.
So, Thanos, right?
yeah.
All right,
Thanos.
Based off of the mediums, Thanos.
Thanos. Okay, respect to the fans. Thank you for providing us Magneto, and sorry, you were wrong. So let's go on to the next matchup. We have Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec and Lou Bloom from Nightcrawler, not of Marvel fame.
Oh, we got two X-Men people. What's up?
So, who is Ron? Who had Ron?
I did.
Oh, that was you.
Ron it up.
So Ron Swanson, played by Nick Offerman, just puts on like icon. Like Nick Offerman, like just brought himself to this role, and just creates an iconic character. Leslie's like the American dream, no cynicism at all in this. Ron is the other side of that, where he sees the machine, he sees, he knows the bureaucracy and all of that bullshit, and plays by his own rules in a way, and knows that he can, and gets, he can just get away with certain things.
You need a permit to have a barbecue here. Here's a piece of paper that says I have a permit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Just a little note.
I think he.
Back to meme culture. I mean, Ron is the ultimate meme.
Yeah.
It's true.
Sure. Just an iconic look, the mustache, the haircut, prim and proper, like
the
clothes
meat,
and everything. Like, I love Ron.
the lumberjack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read Nick
Talk about
Offerman's
some-
book. That haircut's called the full douche.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, he
I wouldn't
talks. He
call
says
it
everybody gets upset when he doesn't have it outside of filming, and he's like, I don't walk around with that haircut.
He went to school nearby here in like northern Illinois.
Champaign,
Nice.
Urbana.
Yeah, and he played in the band there, and sometimes he goes there and plays and hangs out with the students.
Yeah,
That's
he's from a town that's only like half an hour south of Champaign.
Oh wow.
Yeah, his whole family like still lives there. Like if you read his book, he says like everybody thinks he's so like manly and tough, but then like they all like wear vice grips on their belts, and he's the one who went off to theater school. So
Right.
That is kind of funny. See, it's just
Yeah.
an actor. Like he plays such a different character to that.
Ron just has such a good voice too. I love just the way he delivers things and the way he says things.
I enjoy his character development throughout the show because he is this like gruff, like, it's like can't change, unbreakable kind
Hulk.
of like person, but then, you know, he gets a family in his life, and he learns that, like, certain things about his character need to shift in order to balance that. And, you know, and it's much later on in the series, but, like, to me, that's fun to watch characters actually grow, especially in an ensemble, like, kind of cast.
They
You know,
do
it's
such a good
otherwise,
job.
otherwise shit gets
Yeah.
boring, and,
Yeah.
like, you know, he becomes soft enough, but he's still very Ron to the core. Like, he doesn't lose who he is in the process, but, you know, he also mans up and learns that, like, certain things have to change in order to, like, you know, facilitate these portions of his life now. So,
So, yeah, that's Ron. Obviously,
Go on for
I think this is
days.
another tough draw because Lou Bloom was Josh's pick, right?
I had him too.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
He was a double pick.
all right,
Okay.
defend him.
Yeah.
Stop gushing over
Um,
Ron and defend your boy.
I don't know if you guys, any of you have seen Nightcrawler, but
Oh, I have. I love it.
Okay.
Saw it in the
So
theater.
his character's like incredibly like dark, and like you get like throughout the show he's like this like weirdly optimistic. Like if you ever watch a training video at work, how everybody's super pumped to be there, and they fully believe in the message what they're doing. He's that, but you can tell he doesn't believe it, but he's just good on selling people on it. And you know, he hires an assistant and he just goes around doing this incredibly like gray area ethically job, and everything he does is just so amazing. He's just like a like antithesis of a hero of a thing. Like you want him to like do the bad thing the whole time he's watching it. Like it's like should he go in this house? Like hell yeah, he should go in this house. I don't care if people were just shot. Like maybe they're still dying. Get the footage, man. You deserve it. You get paid.
You deserve it.
Same thing. Like I don't want to spoil any. The movie's been out, so you know, watch it. But
We
like his assistants like her, and like you know, he could help him, or could he videotape him and make money again? Like he makes the choices you know he's gonna make that he shouldn't make, and it's beautiful every time. And like his justification for doing things he does is perfect, and he doesn't think twice about anything. Like he just does what he needs to, and it's amazing. And he's just a really different character.
Such an odd character to root for. Like
Right.
you did like or to like
if he existed in real life, he would suck. He'd be the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
Sociopath.
Yeah, like he's
But
blackmailing
since
his boss. He's he's letting
Right,
like doesn't he
it's
let
like
Bill
people
Paxton
like
just
to-
die as well at some point? It's like
Oh god.
Yeah, it's
To record them.
definitely people die in that he could have helped, but no.
Oh lord. I think
He's-
people like
he's-
to live vicariously through characters, even if it's like shitty stuff. So-
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just his attitude. Like if this was just like some gruff chain smoking like guy, like nobody would care. But like
yeah.
just the way he's the way he is about it is just so amazing. I love Ron Swanson, but Ron Swanson basically is a caricature for like a sitcom to me. And
Ooh.
He's got depth though.
he though he's the same. Like even when he changes, he's still pretty much just the same guy. He's just teaching.
Like Tomas
He's
said, he stays himself,
just-
but he opens up more.
He's pretty much just teaching that to kids because he's always had that side. Anytime you can see him backing up Leslie, that's his. That's like the exact his character is.
He like pays
giving
for
giving
Andy to
April
go to
a birthday
school.
present, things like that. That's just who he is.
it's nice to see him go from like 100 grit sandpaper to he goes down like 80 to 6. It's nice to see some of those hard layers take off from Ron. Whereas
I
with
don't get this
Lou,
reference. Could you do a non-sandpaper reference, please?
Right.
Technically, sandpaper.
Some of us
now
work
can
on
in
computers,
reverse because the higher the grit, the smoother the surface. So,
so it's like a
Oh.
mechanical keyboard, and then you go. I don't know keyboards, but anyway.
A QWERTY
Uh,
keyboard that it's missing a few keys, and then you you find them laying around and you put them back.
Right, let you know.
Who carries a whole movie? And Jake's I think it's Jake's best acting.
Ooh.
For me, I think it's his number one. But
Wow. Yeah, I think that's a good point to make, Mike. Like, I mean, we've said that for other characters and stuff. Like when they're in an ensemble, how much does like that ensemble mean to that character? You know, how much does that add to that character?
I couldn't imagine watching a Ron Swanson show where it was just Ron. I don't know. Maybe he could be a little overbearing, that character.
True. I agree with that.
I would continue to watch
Yeah.
The Adventures of Lou. I would watch a night crawlers or something.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the characters complement each other like in an ensemble cast. It's like I think that's the whole entire point behind like something like you can't just do a Leslie Knope Parks and Rec. You can't just do a Ben Wyatt Parks and Rec. It's like, and I know we're only basing one character, but like that character's medium is just that like, they're part of a group and that enriches their character in a lot of ways.
Wow, I thought Ron was going to run away with this one.
Yeah, Aaron really came up to bat for Lou Bloom here.
It's an amazing movie, and it's a great character. Like even like the whole premise of the movie isn't honestly that good. Like if anybody else other than Jake Gyllenhaal doing this performance did it, it wouldn't be that great of a movie. But it's such a great character, it makes the movie very good. Whereas like Ron Swanson is a character that was written basically for Nick Offerman, and they still almost gave it to other people. And like even if somebody else played him, you'd still watch Parks and Rec.
True.
You just maybe
And
wouldn't.
he's not
like
my
Ron
favorite Parks
Swanson
and Rec
that much.
character, so.
Okay, well, we've heard the arguments. Do we want to put it to a vote then?
Sure.
Oh shit.
Oh, I vote Lou.
Surprising. I think I'm going to go with Ron for myself.
It's going.
Lou.
Oh fuck.
Ron.
Need to answer quicker, Tomas. You're always the tiebreaker.
I don't really.
Right.
I do.
He waits to see what everybody else is doing.
All people pleasing by nature. This is hard. We have 2 Parks and Rec characters on this
It
list
is hard.
already that have made it to the next
Ooh.
round. I am going for Lou Bloom.
Okay, Lou
Aaron
Bloom
came out
over
swinging.
Ron.
All right.
That's it was a good argument, and it's
Nice. It was. It's hard when you do just like some characters so much. And I haven't seen Nightcrawler, so it's hard to.
I love Ron Swanson, and Nick Offerman's like a personal hero.
That must have been
of
hard
mine,
for you,
so-
bro.
Have you seen him in
Which
Sin
one?
City?
He's in the original. He's like the skinhead with like a collar and everything.
He's like the thug
Oh,
who like
yeah,
rhymes a
holy
lot.
oh wow, I didn't
Who's got
realize
like a
that was
weird
him.
beard. Yeah, he's also like in Miss Congeniality 2.
You get to see the full Swanson in Deadwood. Oh yeah,
Have to check that back.
Oh yeah. He's really pumped about that part. I can tell
Yeah.
you.
He's in a couple Bob's Burgers episodes.
He was in Murder by Numbers, but his lines got cut, so he's just in the background of one shot.
All right, let's get on to
Okay.
the next one. This is going to be a kind of a weird one, a little tough one because we don't
Extremely weird.
have Josh to defend, but we have Tyrion Lannister from Game
He
of
was
Thrones.
nominated by Ryan,
show.
right?
The Lancasters.
I think he might. I think he might have been.
Neither one of the
Right.
people who were.
Yeah, we got a tough one here. And then we have Sayori from Doki Doki Literature Club. So I like Tyrion. I think Tyrion is. I think Tyrion and Arya are the only 2 characters in Game of Thrones that kind of matter. But Tyrion falls pretty flat on his ass in the final season.
Yeah, it's disappointing the way that Tyrion goes out.
It's really disappointing, and it's kind of a marker for the entire series, honestly. You have very highs up through the middle, and then you have a real, just fall at the end. And Tyrion kind of mirrors that in the Game of Thrones series. But the highs are really high.
He has so many really, really, really good scenes. Some really powerful moments that he does with his scene with his father on the can and things that he says of his knowledge to Jon Snow and to just other people. And he was a really, really high point throughout Game of Thrones for me, but then did just end. But I think that was no fault to him or his character. I think that was just because they were like, oh, hey, we're going to end this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Snap.
Type shit up.
But,
and I think one thing that I should mention as well is he's a little person, so that's important. I mean, he's a little person who has a huge influence on this story and every episode that he's in.
He's
so
done
that
very
kind of
well for himself as an actor, just in general too.
Peter Dinklage
Certainly.
is fantastic. Yeah,
right.
I enjoy him in many things.
Right, so that's a little bit, an extra feather, I think, in his cap as well
past.
for me. Yeah. Sayori, who want Mike?
I've
Are you
played
the best
game.
or? Oh, Tomas.
Mike tried to play this game.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
It was tough.
I haven't played this game in a long time, but so yeah, Josh explained a little bit of it at one point. It's about you're like a new student. It's like one of those like archetypal I forget what they call them. I would say like a sim kind of game, like a story sim kind of game. You're the
very
visual
text-based.
novel.
very visual novel, probably better. And like there's a whole slew of them, like kind of parody style, they did like Had a Full Boyfriend, where it was like you're at a school and you're dating birds and shit like that. And like this is another like one of those weird you don't get it up front. Yeah, you don't get it up front, but there's like a huge twist in this game. Like you're a literature club and you write poems, and like a lot of the beginning of the game seems kind of like mundane. You're best friends with this Sayori character, like childhood friends. She like lives next door to you, and like she slowly opens up as a character about her insecurities and her feelings and all this in her poems. And like the whole entire thing, like there's like a ticking time bomb like waiting to go off throughout the whole entire like point of this. I mean, we could do spoilers on this.
Yeah, I always put a spoiler warning at the beginning. So
okay, so eventually she gets to a point where like she starts having like really big self-doubt issues about you and the main character, and like I believe she like expresses her feelings for him at some point, and but like plot twist, she ends up killing herself. And the huger plot twist of the game is that you're technically just like in a video game simulation as the main character, and one of the other people in the literature club has been controlling the strings, making the other girls like bend to her whim. So it's like you're kind of like outside of the loop. So like, and like I forget what the name of the main AI in the game that's like running the show is, but like she's like continuously changes things, and like the girls like are like kind of like they'll like start glitching out throughout the game and shit, and like they're going off character, and like your character starts noticing. And there's another point where like another girl like commits suicide in front of you, and like the game freezes for like minutes. It's like you're just sitting there and it shows like the time lapse in the background, and like you're just looking at a dead body during the whole entire thing. But yeah, so like it's got a really dark twist to it. As for the character of Sayori, like she's just like a typical like schoolgirl who's like dealing with some personal issues and stuff. I'm sure Josh could have explained it better, and I'm sure he's gonna crucify me for not explaining it as well as he probably would have. But I mean, if you want to get brass tacks, I mean that's it. Like, and her twist is like, you walk into her, like you have like this conversation, you express your feelings with her. It's like you reciprocate your feelings with this character, and it seems like everything's gonna go well, but like there's this like feeling of like tension still there in the background, and then you go to school the next day and she doesn't show up, and then you're like wondering what's going on. You walk into her room and it's like, oh my god, it's like she's hung herself. And it's like,
So you said it's a simulation, like that's the big twist and everything else. So Sayori is like a sub program, just an AI in that
no
simulation.
shit, like everything's being controlled by like this AI. And it's like I forget like if it's like you're stuck in a video game or something like it, but like these characters are like struggling to like live normal lives, but like they're being like controlled, and like your character is like outside of that loop.
Mhm.
And like you're like slowly like kind of subverting certain portions of like what the AI is trying to do, and it seems like it's like working for this character, but then all of a sudden like the next day she's like, it's like the AI is feeding her like this idea of like you're not good enough, you should kill yourself, blah 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 blah. And she eventually does do that, and then you find out more and more as like the shit goes on, and eventually like you're sitting in a dark room with like the the puppeteer, and it's a weird fucking game.
Sure, it sounds weird.
It sounds interesting.
It sounds interesting.
Because like if you don't know what the twist is the first time you're playing it, it just seems like you're playing one of these regular text-based like visual novels. And then all of a sudden, like, oh hey, you walk into the room and like the girl that you just explained all your feelings for is like hanging from her like fucking like ceiling fan in her room.
But okay, but she is just like essentially a robot, an AI, a simulation. She's not like none of it's real, right? Like none of it's actually
none
real?
of it's real.
Okay.
Like I said, I haven't played this game in a long time.
Sure.
I just remember the twist, and I remember that like it's the strings are being pulled by like one of the characters that's in the club.
Gotcha.
So, and you're just kind of like there, like you're a little bit outside of like the outside bounds of this thing. So to an extent,
Yeah.
or like
no.
you're being stringed along, like, but yeah. So, but Sayori is like just like one of those characters that like she just falls victim to this. But
Sure.
the whole entire game is like literally just about the club. Like before the twist, it's the club writing poems about themselves and opening up about their feelings and dealing with like normal like high school stuff. Like
It's rough.
it's very rough. Like Mike just got done playing like part of it. Give your take. Did I do okay like nailing at least some of that?
Oh yeah, sure. I didn't get to any of the twist stuff.
Okay.
For me, it's like Sayori at the very beginning is just like a tropey girl you live next door to, that she wakes up late for school all the time, and she's just kind of like a hot mess. It's like a Tenchi Muyo thing where you're like involved in this club, after school club, with 4 of the most beautiful girls in Japan. Apparently, they all go to this thing, and it's not my jam. I knew it wasn't going to be my jam. I tried, Josh. I wanted to come into this thing and be like, I've finished the whole game, and it changed my life or something. But
God bless you.
I couldn't. It was really hard. The dialogue and stuff is just weird. Like I not weird. It's just like not for me. Very very dating sim anime stuff that I doesn't jive with me.
Yeah, like you play the game for the twist. So
sure, and I feel like from what you're saying, she's just like the catalyst for that big moment. Like,
yes.
I don't know, and that's really all she's there to serve. Like, I don't know, maybe the villain character is more interesting or something. I don't know, but
kind of. I mean, it's like that breaks the veil. Like, and don't get me wrong, the game gets crazier after that, but it's like, it's like that's like when it's like, something's up. They don't necessarily, give the cat right out of the bag, out of the way. But
yeah,
it's a huge like what the fuck moment in the video games.
Well, I almost feel like also not having played this or anything else, but just from your description of it. Okay, so she's a simulation of a kind. she's being manipulated by a superior AI or whatever else. How much of a character is she? How there's events, I'm sure there's things that she does, but how much of that are even attributable to her if that's, the case. Like, Tyrion's his own person. Like, he makes his own decisions, he gets himself into his own shit, gets himself out of his own shit. You can't say that, like, really Tyrion is ever being, like, manipulated or isn't doing exactly what Tyrion, like, intended. Like, there's bad consequences without a doubt, but, like, you can't say that he's not a character, like, to me.
Yeah. I mean,
Do we want to take it to a vote?
I think you
Move forward here?
got to go a little too deep on that simulation thing. Like, it's a schoolgirl character, man. Like, I don't want to,
Not my thing.
I don't want to, like, beat a dead horse, but, like,
Gotcha.
it's an interesting game if you play it all the way through. I just, I think it takes a culmination of, like, everything, and I don't think, like, a single character from it can really bring the merit that the game deserves.
Gotcha.
So
cool. So my vote's for Tyrion.
Tyrion.
Lancasters.
Abstain.
Tyrion, I guess.
Mine is for
Yeah, I kind of want to abstain because I don't like Game of Thrones and I haven't played that other game. But
I'm voting for Tywin. So
I'm voting for Peter Dinklage. Okay, I don't give a shit about that.
We should have put Peter Dinklage.
Did Mike say anything?
He said abstain.
Tables of Tywin. Let's go.
That's fine. So we got 2 abstains and 3 Tyrions. That's perfectly fine.
That's fine.
So Josh, sorry, Sayori, sayonara.
His other character on this bracket is a much better character. So
boom. Well, he's got another
And
one
that's
coming
up
up.
next.
Yeah, he's got a.
well, Undyne. That one's better.
Yeah. So Tyrion over Sayori. On to Harry DuBois from Disco Elysium and Yennefer of Vengerberg from the Witcher series. Witcher 3, mostly. I think that's everyone's favorite depiction, but
This is a Josh and Ryan again.
it
isn't
is, it is, but I can speak on both, I think, at least a little bit. So what I want to say about Harry from Disco Elysium is that is an RPG in the, like, most literal sense, I think. You have to craft this character to the T, to, like, instead of stats like, magic and power and things of that nature, you're crafting the stats of this person's personality. And to me, that makes them not really a character that stands on their own, because they are whoever you want them to be and the choices that you are making throughout that game. Because it's mostly a very text-based adventure type. You're making a lot of decisions.
it is always tough with that situation.
Right. It is an RPG in, like, the strongest sense. You get to play the role as you see fit. Anyone else with Harry to add?
Nah. I didn't even know this was a game until this character was mentioned. So
It's real cool.
Seen a little bit of it. I think Eric played it at the house with a couple of people over. So I saw. Did we play through the whole thing?
No.
But that was kind of early.
We played maybe an hour, maybe a little more than that.
A little more than an hour, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't speak too much on Harry at all. It seemed like it's a game where the world and those characters in that world also are
Yeah. I know that now they have added voice actors, right?
Yeah, they fully voiced the game now. I'd like to play that at some point if it ever comes to, like, Switch or something that I play on. I don't know. I have more experience with Yen. I like Yennefer.
Yeah. Speak to Yennefer a little bit.
So Yennefer is just kind of like a sorceress in this high fantasy world of The Witcher, and she's one of, like, she's very powerful, magic user. I think she's trained, but in some terrible person or something like that. I don't know how well I can.
She's kind of Black Widow. with magic.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. She's a little Black Widow with magic. Yeah.
They've sterilized her and sent her out to be a killing machine.
Yeah, but what I like about Yen is kind of this weird relationship she has with Geralt. They basically been tied together for a long time, and she discovers that he was under some kind of manipulation, and that none of that could have been true. And then they have to it's like a serendipity type thing. If this thing is real, then we'll have to come back to each other later on, type thing. And she's just a good foil to Geralt. She knows him very well, and she's just able to read him, and she's cool. I wish I had more experience with her in maybe the other games or something. I've only played Witcher 3.
She's pretty strong and independent in that. It's nice to see, like, it seems like they do have a really nice connection that's very passionate, but their lives are different, and always takes them to each other and then apart from each other. And it is interesting to see them struggle with the fate, whatever creature he had to connect himself with her. Yeah, the genie.
Yeah.
I love the whole Witcher world, but I would say, while Yen is cool, she's not my favorite female sorcerer in the world.
Yeah, nobody picked Geralt.
I know, he was on my long list. It was between Geralt and Kratos of my quick round.
Not even the fans.
Yeah.
He came close to being people's champ.
It's close. He was second in line.
Yeah, my biggest argument in this is that, Yennefer is her own character, whether you like her or not. She has her own, exactly who she is, whereas Harry is an RPG character
Created by the player.
Created in large part by the player.
It's an interesting concept, but yeah, you can't really pin down any one kind of character archetype with that kind of scheme. So
let's move this along.
Okay. Yeah, it might be another one that's almost like a default. Maybe I'm gonna go Yennefer just because I do enjoy her, and I think I would enjoy Harry, but I'd enjoy him because it'd be me. It'd be my decisions.
It's true. You do love Eric.
You're not wrong.
You still have the situations that Harry will always go through. Like is he like a drunk detective?
Yeah. He's fucked up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My kind of people.
I don't want to go yet. Somebody else.
I'm going to abstain. This is another case where it's a show I really don't like and a game I haven't played. So
we're going off of the Witcher 3 though. The Witcher. Yeah, sorry, the video game.
I was gonna say because in the show she's really cool in the first episode, and then she's just a vehicle to be naked and drawing nerds who want to see naked girls.
I'm mixing in show and game too because I just don't know a lot about her past or anything like that. I just kind of had to use.
I played Witcher 3, but I don't remember
the reference I have with the show. Really? I don't know.
It's a tough one.
It is because while I do like Yen, like I said, I like Triss better, so I don't really want to vote for Yen. So I guess I'll vote for Harry DuBois by default.
Well, got 1 and 1. I'm abstaining.
Me too,
Mike.
Oh, I got to break it, huh? Okay.
Yeah,
you're in Tomas's shoes now.
I mean, we could even base it on, if you want to base it on, do we think Josh cares more about Harry DuBois than Ryan does about Yennefer? I mean, because those were their choices.
Supposed to be, we made arguments, and
Josh got a loop out of this one. He's got a W. He lost Sayori.
He just lost everything else.
Man, this bracket is so Josh heavy. Oh man.
He's taking a lot of. He's either taking a lot of L's or W's in this one. So
I mean, I like Yen. I don't know. I don't. If I have to base Harry DuBois off my own personality, oh man. I don't know
Not
if
a
I'm gonna like
fan.
Harry's.
I make some questionable decisions. So
Yeah, you should create all your RPG characters based off of me. So.
Yen is really cool. I really enjoy Yen. She's got really strong parts.
Now, can I base Lou Bloom off of Yennefer? Or not Lou Bloom, but Harry DuBois off? Can I make Harry DuBois Lou Bloom?
Maybe. I like the kind of Commander Shepard argument where it would be tough to put a Commander Shepard on this list because hell yeah, Commander Shepard's fucking great. I've got to live through this great journey and pick what I wanted to say along the way. Like it was cool. That's tough.
My Shep's a paragon.
with Commander Shepard, there's very clearly a canon choice. Like you can say those renegade things, but at the end of the day, he's still saving everybody. He's not.
It's basically, but you get to pick whether you're happy or mad. Like you get to pick
Right, you
whether
can
you
be
want to be
grumpy
like
about
Han
it.
Solo or yeah. That's the choice that you're getting. You get to put that into it, and I don't know how much deeper Harry.
And
is
I'm certain that
that
Harry's got those situations too.
Yeah, there's still a storyline that you go through, no matter what you say or do.
And that game doesn't benefit from being like this fully animated big adventure. Disco Elysium is very much a computer RPG type thing. It's not a lot of huge animation or anything. So that system probably has to, the dialogue and things like that have to be even greater in that aspect. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Yen just because I like Yen. Yen's cool. I would pick Yen over Triss.
You want to see more?
Yeah.
Go with your heart, bro.
Boom. All right, so that's 2 votes to no votes. Yen over Harry. So for our next matchup, we have Ingrid Thorburn versus Lieutenant Jim Dangle. So Ingrid from Ingrid Goes West versus Jim Dangle from Reno 911. Mike, you're a big Ingrid head, as they call him.
Yeah.
What's
we
her
call
deal?
ourselves that. So Ingrid, played by Aubrey Plaza, seems at first like a normal 18 to, I think it's kind of ambiguous how old she is, but she's, a young woman, adult. And she becomes obsessed with Ashley Olsen's character through like I think it's Instagram or some kind of similar app, and
Social media.
yeah, and it becomes like a single white female situation where she is trying to like force herself onto this person that she like she feels like she knows this person and is friends with this person just through social media, and she uses that to her advantage to actually find out where she knows where her local spots are. She literally like camps out at these like places
I can just picture her creepy eyes.
And then she's able to lie and wiggle her way into like her inner circle, and they become like best fucking friends. And I could see in a way where it would be like cringy, but for me it was just like, man, how far can she stretch this thing until, it's like that Mario Party game where you take turns pumping a balloon and it's like hot potato. Like when is this balloon going to burst? And it does burst. Like it burst.
Oh, no.
It was just a kind of a thrilling experience watching it.
So it's pretty high tension.
Yeah, it gets that way. I believe Kurt Russell's son is also in it. And he gets involved in a weird way, and it's there's a lot of tension.
Love Aubrey Plaza. That's her name. Thomas Lennon, plays Lieutenant Jim Dangle. Found out he's from Illinois as well recently. Good guy. So his whole thing is his like deadpan style of comedy. He does it in a couple different movies, and definitely as Jim Dangle. He's this ridiculous kind of like flamboyant or like ambiguously maybe like gay character.
He's a sexual being.
Right. But he does it with just this
Sensual.
deadpan type of performance in that role. And Reno 911 is just an outlandish comedy following this police department that it's a lot like Parks and Rec. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the Dangle character and Ron Swanson, aside from the ridiculous mustache. Like their delivery and kind of their whole like take everything super seriously kind of persona, even though they're in these ridiculous situations. I think there's a lot of parallels there. And I think that's just like what Thomas Lennon does best. Like if you see him in I Love You Man or something like that. So it's one of those like perfect castings, like we talked once again with Ron Swanson, where Nick Offerman just seems like, man, he's that dude. He knows how to play that dude. It definitely seems the same thing with Lieutenant Dangle. And it might actually parallel probably with Ingrid in that, like, that's kind of what Aubrey Plaza is known for as well, being that like awkward kind of
exact same thing
person.
Yeah,
it's like doppelganger fight right here.
I mean, Ingrid is evil April. Like
April is evil. April is evil.
But like if you're looking at like one of those like D&D style, like chaotic good, chaotic,
she's mischievous.
They're on different squares, on different sides of
I can get that, yeah. Right, because I've never seen either of these shows really. Like I know Reno 911. Not 90210.
I want to watch the Reno 90210 crossover episode.
I know like tiny little bits about Reno 911, and I know really nothing about Ingrid Goes West. But when Mike was talking about it, I can just like totally picture Aubrey Plaza creeping me out real crazy, and it seems interesting. That's a twisty story.
Yeah, you mentioned the eyes. And I was like, I can immediately picture
when
that
she
in my
wins
head.
this. I suggest you go
She's
watch
just
the
like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's on the list.
Okay.
It has been for the longest time. Like I see it all the time pop up on whatever it's on, like Prime or something, and like
Good. I didn't know that.
yeah, no, I see it all the time, and like, oh man, I need to check that out. And I thought it was more of a comedy. Now that you're saying
It's a black
it's like
comedy, like
Yeah.
a dark humor thing.
so I kind of prefer that. I think maybe.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a Black Mirror movie, kind of in a way, like just in the way that social media has kind of warped our fucking minds a little bit, and just like podcast culture.
It's a different world.
And yeah,
Definitely.
Are you speaking ill of podcasts, Mike?
not at all, not at all. But I think we should look inwardly sometime.
Oh no!
Take a second.
Oh, no.
Telling me Joe Rogan doesn't have all my answers, bro?
Yeah.
No, but I do.
Caravella is not my friend, even though he is. Okay.
Oh, and he's everyone's friend.
Oh,
So
Lord.
I think I'm going Ingrid on this. I mean,
Ooh.
I've seen a lot more Reno 911 than I've seen any of Ingrid, but I think it sounds
Definitely.
she sounds great. She sounds, I always go for unique in characters, and that sounds like a unique character. So I think my vote's for Ingrid.
Yeah, you definitely piqued my interest with just the information you gave. I haven't seen the movie. Big fan of both of these characters. Well, I'm a big fan of Aubrey Plaza, and I loved Reno 911. But just on the short sell that Mike gave me about the movie, I don't know. I'm feeling towards Ingrid too.
I'm also Ingrid.
Kayla, you abstaining or you going Dangle? What's up?
No, I'm Ingrid. I'm just being that I've never really, I don't know much about either of these people other than like I know like a scene of Jim Dangle like doing his look at my butt like pose. That's really all I know about him.
He's
But
great.
so it seems like he's more of like a ridiculously kind of stupid comedic style, which is not really what I like. Like I'm not really into Will Ferrell, for example. So is it
Ooh.
kind of
a
like
mix
that?
of that and
Shots
Ron
fired.
Swanson, I guess you could say. But
Well,
I can do Ron Swanson, but
yeah,
He's my favorite out of that squad of like
yeah.
characters on that show.
well, maybe is that streaming on anything? Maybe we'll watch it. But for now, I'll go.
It's on
Ingrid
Hulu. I
Goes
think it
West.
pops up.
Is it on Hulu? I
I
wouldn't mind
think.
checking that back.
I could be
haven't
wrong.
gone through in a while.
I'm
It's
sure
on
we
some
get a
streaming
DVD
service.
box set somewhere. You know,
Nah, man, you got to get a laser disc.
right? Yeah, you probably could. Reno has been on for a long time, or
It has.
gone now, right?
I think the thing about Reno though is also it's like it's more than just the characters. It's about like because there's more characters than just the police in that show too.
The
and, like,
lifestyle.
the lifestyle, and the ridiculous situations they get into. Like,
Yeah, and situations definitely help. Like, I wish I had a better term for it than like stupid funny, but like situations can make stupid funny more enjoyable. You know, I like
Right.
funny stuff.
That was for Josh. We did it, Josh. Suck it, Aaron. Sorry. I said it.
we
Well,
got you one
Ingrid
time.
went west, and she also went into the second round.
Woo!
So
All right.
Ingrid
Everybody's happy now.
over Jim Dangle. Next
Who's
up,
next? Oh, geez.
we've got Leeloo Dallas versus Terence Fletcher. Leeloo Dallas from the movie The Fifth Element, and Terence Fletcher from Whiplash, also a feature film. Kayla, I believe Leeloo was yours.
Yes, that's fine.
Multi-pass.
Multi-pass. I mean, in its most simplest form, Leeloo Dallas is the supreme being. She's what saves Earth. She saves life. I shouldn't say Earth, just life, because you know they're in space and flossed in paradise and stuff. So it's got to be more than Earth. But Leeloo is a alien who shows up out of nowhere, has to like go on this mission in a place that she like knows nothing about. She's just a fish out of water, and she's really weird. And she's played by Mila Jovovich, my favorite role of Mila, because it's just she's a supreme being, and it's fun to watch her like be a fish out of water, and then she like finds herself and whoops ass and handles business and falls in love, and it saves life.
Love is the fifth element, so you know.
Love, right?
Man, deep. Terrence was Josh, right? But I know Mike's a big Whiplash guy. So what's up?
50th best movie of all time.
Oh man,
Okay.
Yeah, if Leeloo is a supreme being, Terence Fletcher is someone who believes in supreme beings and wants to seek them out musically.
My struggle.
He's a teacher at a prestigious music school, and will pick out certain students and just fuck their world up and push them to their edge, you know. And he does it like he's just has like a fucking mission, and he's gonna do it, and he's gonna find, you know, the next great music star, or well, not like virtuoso, like drummer, basically is what he sees in Miles Teller's character. The movie ends with you not knowing who came out on top, really, between the two, because it becomes like a slugfest, really. Like literally at certain times between them, and I think Fletcher somehow wins, and at the end of the day. Like he did it. No matter what he did to Miles' character, he helped him achieve what his ultimate goal was through any means necessary.
Ooh.
Yeah, I remember when it was coming out, I was, at least from like the marketing, I was real turned off because it seems like dude's just abusive. Like he seems like he's rough to old Miles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something to obsession, though. I mean, like that's been a thing on a lot of the characters we've, been talking about. Their obsessive nature. We have poor Daniel Plainview didn't make it, but you could definitely draw
Shame.
some
Shut up.
parallels there.
yeah.
Being number one, being out on top. What do you think, Tomas?
Finished.
What do you got on either of these characters?
Let's see. I mean, I love Leeloo. I mean, I love the movie Fifth Element. I love all the characters in that movie, to be honest. I mean, you got DuBois as president of Earth. You got Gary Oldman as one of the weirdest roles I've ever seen him in.
Fucking weird.
I love Bruce Willis. Ruby Rod is my dude.
Bruce is great.
He's like, it's quite the cast.
Come in, my man.
Leeloo's great, but he gets outshined like a lot.
Well, I think
tough.
that's the point that I'm trying to make. So there's
You're right.
so many memorable characters in that cast. Don't get me wrong, strong female role, and her character is cool too. I mean, because like, Kayla said, she is this like supreme being. Like, by the end of the day, she makes the choice on whether or not the rest of existence, continues. Yeah, that God, I love me some Bruce.
I do too.
Gary
Bruce is
Oldman.
real good in it. Together, though, they do so well.
What I like about Leeloo is you mentioned fish out of water. Like she doesn't even speak the language for a long time, or I don't even up to the end. She doesn't really speak like English or Earthish, whatever, because everyone on Earth apparently speaks English in the future. And I think she has to do so much like physically, to emote and all of that. So I think that that's a real unique thing about her.
Good point. Yeah.
She does get outshined a little bit. I mean, I'm feeling you on that of like it's just such a cool ensemble cast. I don't know if she gets outshined, but like the movie doesn't work without that wild cast of characters.
Yeah.
It doesn't work without her either. But like,
no, you take any one character away, and it loses some of its staying power.
It does. That's fair points.
So, and Whiplash, dude. I remember Josh never not shutting up about this movie. I mean, and I get it. By any means necessary. Pushing this guy to his limits. I mean, we already had Daniel Plainview lose in that regard, and I enjoyed his character much more. But I don't know, maybe just because it's, his shit was like a little less confrontational and less till the end. It's like it was more conniving, more plotting, more, and I enjoy that a little bit more than just outright torturing
Terence
individuals.
Terence almost from the jump is in his shit.
It's like okay, it's like no wrong. It's like like I get it, and it was like, and I get why he's doing it. It doesn't make it right, but like I understand that, like the mentality, and I like how you put it. It's like by the end of the day, it's like you don't know who really comes out on top, but by the end of the day, him being an ass and pushing the main character to his limit, he got better by proxy, whether he liked it or not. So
might have been a different way of doing it. Who's to say he didn't have that in him the whole time?
It's true, a million different ways.
Whoever wins this, the ending of Whiplash is simply you're just on the edge. I don't know, like it's a one of one kind of thing. I don't think there's anything like it.
I gotta check it out. I was so pushed off just from the the trailers and stuff like that, like just you could tell, like, oh man, this dude's beating up this guy, and like the stakes never made sense to me. Like, oh, okay, he wants him to be a really good drummer, so he's just gonna beat the shit out of him and like, make him ruin relationships and stuff. Like,
It's more than physical. Like he does. He does like, yeah, he strikes him in the face at a point, but it's really just even more so manipulating this person and changing up rosters last second, kind of, and really just turning the screw, a lot. It's more heady than just like a physically abusive like kind of thing.
sure.
Yeah, just fucking with his overall life in general.
Gotcha.
With his
I don't
dream,
wanna
like
say
just
fuck
the
that
thing he
one.
knows, the thing he wants most, and he's it's like the carrot on the stick. Like, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Lieutenant Jim Dangle the carrot in front of him.
Yeah, fuck. Hot pants.
Well,
Well, my vote's for Leeloo.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I'm gonna go Leeloo as well. I just think she's got something like iconic about her, like just
Yeah.
in pop culture, and I like for like a representation
Sure.
of like what like the machine of nonsense is, or what I think it is, or my take on the machine of nonsense of just like wacky pop culture stuff. Like Leeloo's real high up there. So
Yeah, I'm going Leeloo too.
Element's great,
Although I'm way more interested in Whiplash now. So
oh yeah, I gotta.
Oh well, that's a win. Like
Yeah,
if I can
like-
convince somebody to watch Whiplash. That's
like get ready. You got Ingrid Goes West and Whiplash on the queue now. So
Yeah, man,
Nice.
it's gonna be a it's gonna be a long night. Oh, all right. We got two more matchups coming up.
fight.
The next one is Undyne the Undying
Mm.
versus Pippen, also known as Peregrine Took from Lord of the Rings. Undyne the Undying is from Undertale, the smash hit
Undertale.
game.
It's a good game.
Big Pippin.
Did a big deep dive on Undyne, me and Kayla, and really sold me on the character. But I think
It
Mike
seemed really cool.
or Tomas might be a little bit better. I don't know. I don't know your relationship to Undertale, Tomas.
Pass.
I've played it a long time ago. I really enjoyed it. It's an interesting game in the sense that like you don't play it in a conventional RPG sense, or I mean you can. It's not the way it's supposed to be played. It's like, I mean, no spoiler at this point, but it's like you have a pacifist way of playing it, you have a neutral way of playing it, and you have a complete genocide way of playing it.
Also known as the Eric way.
Yeah, but you end up unlocking more about pretty much every character in the game, depending on which route you play. Or, and the game's meant to be played multiple times as well. It's like the only way you're going to do pacifist route is if you already knew before you cracked open the game, But, and, the game logs all of your decisions too, and that carries over into other things. But, so yeah, in that regard, like, I love the game. And Undyne, is obviously one of the more iconic characters. She's like, a knight to the King's Guard. It's like, everybody in like the monster village has been taught to it's like humans are dangerous, you can't trust humans, and because she's like the head of the knights, she's like it's her goal to stop you. And and if you're playing pacifist route, it's like you don't kill her, and it develops more about her character. You spare her when you go into the hot zone, and give her water, and then later on, if you do everything right, you develop like a friendship with her, and it's just interesting to like that's the thing about this game, is like I think all the characters are interesting. Some people think certain characters stand out more than others. I feel like everything about the world of Undertale is what makes it interesting. Just the fact that it's like if you go one route, you're convincing what all these monsters believe, about humans being bad and all this, it's like, and then you like kind of turn ship everybody in some regard to the point where they're like, oh, it's like, well, maybe we thought wrong, or like maybe, it's like humans aren't as bad. And then you like, you form friendships with all these people. And then it, ties into the very end of the game. But as far as Undyne's character, I don't know, she's just kind of like this badass like mermaid lady or like mer person with a spear, and she's very devout to the throne and to her friends and all that. And it's like one of the cooler moments is like, if you do the genocide route and you actually have to fight her, like, it's like you almost kill her because she tries to save like this kid's life, because if you're doing genocide route, you're just an asshole and you're killing everybody. And and she, tries to stop you, and you almost kill her. And monsters, I guess in the game they don't have as strong as souls as humans, but like she has like the willpower to like, you know, keep herself alive, and she pretty much becomes Super Saiyan version of herself. And like it's like, and it's cool to like see all the different aspects of the character, because there's a part 2 where like you try to become friends with her and she's like kind of begrudging about it, and she's like forcing herself to be a cordial host. And it's like you get to see different aspects of like this character, it's like she's a warrior, but she's also like a friend, and she's, it's like she's rough around the edges and has a hard time opening up to other individuals. And she also like kind of has a crush on somebody else in the game too, and they don't know how to speak about it. It's a very like, you find out that she's still like, even though she's a monster, she's a very human kind of character. And there's a lot there, more than just, like an NPC like boss character. I don't know if I can go any deeper than that. I know, Eric, you did some research, but
yeah, you hit pretty much everything. I guess the only thing that I would mention is that like Undertale as a game has a very like child's coloring book vibe to it. It's a lot of just like black and white, not a very like pretty experience. But like the character design on Undyne is actually one of the more detailed in the entire game.
Yeah.
It actually kind of looks like a cool old school like NES boss or something, like really detailed. So I can appreciate that aspect of Undyne, and yeah, everything you said, just like it's kind of a real virtuous character, just like
Yes.
doing everything she can to save the monster world. So
Yeah, that game's got a lot of fun characters in it.
It sure does.
Yeah, like even the bad guys, like you got Tsundere plane, which is like, it's like you start complimenting the plane and it starts blushing when you like fight it. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's,
Undertale's just an amazing achievement. Just to think
Yeah.
that one guy created this thing.
Pretty
Pretty cool.
Fox.
one guy also created the Lord of the Rings. Quite
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson. You're right.
Also made the movie Dead Alive.
Also correct. So Pippen, I thought, was a kind of an interesting pull out of the the grand lore of Lord of the Rings. A lot of cool ass characters in Lord of the Rings, but Aaron chose Pippen, and I hope I can shed a little
Way,
light
buddy.
on what makes Pippen cool. He's in the movies at very least, and a little bit in the books. He's played up as like he's a very jovial character. Pippin and Merry are the two hobbits that are kind of always attached at the hip, and definitely in the movies they're like the comic relief. But there's this kind of underlying subplot that they're kind of all of the major events that allow humanity and the elves and the good guys to win in Lord of the Rings kind of stem from the actions of Pippin and Merry, and a lot of them directly from Pippin. So I'm thinking that's probably why Aaron chose him. He's kind of there and an active like participant and an active like he's like hero in a ton of the major events that lead to, because the fellowship, all the main characters, your Aragorn and your Legolas and all them, they break up at one point. and some of them go after Merry and Pippin. So everyone's fractured. They're going in different directions. You got Frodo, trying to get rid of the ring. All of those things. That's the Lord of the Rings. So they're all in wildly different places. But Pippin keeps, mostly by accident, running into like the most interesting characters and events in those books and movies. One example is the Ents, the tree folk, the giant trees, and he convinces them, along with Merry, to go attack Saruman, the evil wizard, and everything else, which is a huge, plot point in the Lord of the Rings. It's a big turning point in the War of the Ring and everything. And he also saves Faramir, one of the Sons of Gondor, another major character, and later on names his son Faramir. So basically, every time something big happens, it just seems Pippin's there, and he always just kind of winds up kind of weaseling himself into saving the day. And it's a cool juxtaposition with a lot of the cool characters. Everyone knows. At least if you know a little bit about Lord of the Rings, Legolas, the cool ass elf who shoots a million arrows and stuff. Aragorn, the cool, the king and everything else, and the dwarf and all these cool badass characters. Frodo, yeah, even Frodo or whatever. These characters.
Frodo.
Pippin's as important, honestly, as any of them, if not more important. But he's just he's a hobbit. He's just this little halfling is what they call them. They're like half the size of a human. They're not imposing. He's not strong. He's not even like terribly brave. He's just like brave when he needs to be. But he saves the day. He rises to the occasion, exactly. Like every single time. And I think it's an interesting pick for Aaron, when you could have picked, a more well-known or more like badass, let's say, like character from Lord of the Rings, going with one of the other little Hobbit characters. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting pick.
Sounds like the R2D2 of Lord of the Rings.
You're not wrong, but the fact that he also gets to like emote more, and like it's a fully fleshed out, like he's got a backstory, he's got a lot of lines, whether we're talking the books or the movie. I think we're going with the movie version in this case. So he's got lots of good funny dialogue. It's not just all beeps and boops and little things like that. So
whistles.
I can see the parallels to an R2D2 type.
They're not the droids.
Yeah, I see those too. I see the parallels.
This whole episode's about parallels.
So I would say I use this argument for, I forget who else or whatever else.
Gollum.
But if a character isn't my favorite in a given like medium, like Pippin is far from my favorite character from the Lord of the Rings, so I just can't vote for him. Even though Undertale, I'm not a big fan of that game. I think now that I've done a little research on Undyne's like whole thing, I think that's my favorite character from that game. So,
ooh, okay. Anybody else going?
I do enjoy Lord of the Rings. I enjoy the whole world, and I do enjoy Merry. I wish I knew more about Undying.
We're doing Pippin.
Like Tomas, you. That is what I meant. That is what I meant to say. I'm sorry. They kind of go together.
They do.
But Undying, I'm really interested in. It sounds really cool. It's really hard when you haven't like played or really been a part of that character to vote for it. It sounds really cool. I do love Pippin, but I don't know. I'll wait and see what happens.
Wow. Did not expect this one.
You guys gonna vote?
This way.
I'm just going Undyne on the technicality that like Pippin's not my favorite part of
yeah.
Lord of the Rings, and if
That's
gun
a
to my
good
head,
point.
Undyne's my favorite part aside from that cow I murdered.
Yeah, I can name at least 5 other characters from Lord of the Rings that I'd take over Pippin. It's like this is an easy one for me. I'm
Pippin
going
would probably
Undyne.
be up. It wouldn't be my favorite, but it would be up there. I do enjoy Pippin, and like literally, like Eric said, it does truly turn the course of events in many times.
A lot of things do though. It's like everybody has
True that.
pivotal
that.
turning points in that movie. So hard to, like
Team effort.
True that.
it's such a huge cast. Like
True
one
that.
of my favorite characters, and it wasn't even my favorite character until like I saw the 3rd movie, which was Sam. You know, it's like he really shines in that movie.
Can I abstain? I'm gonna abstain if this is the first time I'd abstain. I'm gonna abstain.
Ooh, you have that right.
Then it's up to you 3.
I'm going Undyne, so let's
Yeah. Undyne for me makes like the turn of I got really frustrated by that fight, and I was
Oh,
not
God, yeah.
feeling Undyne because there's like a trick to that fight. I won't spoil it. And then I didn't finish my second playthrough, but I had started it, and it's very Undyne heavy at the beginning of my second playthrough, and I really flipped on the character, and she won my heart.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
The game has a very clever way of doing that with like all the characters.
We honestly needed more merfolk representation, so
Ooh, there you go.
I think Undyne over Pippin going to round 2.
Big
Suck it,
Pippin.
Aaron.
Yeah, for real. This has been the
Sorry.
second Aaron's second half of the bracket.
He
Well,
had some in the first half.
he
Yeah,
did. Hey, Walter Kovacs might go all the way, folks. We'll see.
That's true. Yo, he came out
Um,
to swing for Lou Bloom too.
Yeah, he did.
Like,
Yeah, he did. We've got one more. Last matchup. Sirius Black from Harry Potter versus Guts from Berserk. So Kayla, Sirius was yours.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about Gary Oldman.
Sirius Black is a pure blood wizard who is in a very pure blood family who believes that only pure bloods should do magic, and they're Team Voldemort and they're dark wizards. And Sirius Black is like, nah, you guys are fucking crazy. I don't want to be a part of that. That's some racist shit. I think anybody who can do magic should be able to do magic and should learn how to do it properly. And so he gets like disowned by the family, and he's like the heir to their throne, and they're a long line of pureblood wizards, and he gets kicked out. And he's best friends with Harry Potter's father, and of course they like join the Order of Phoenix to take down Voldemort, and in a way he's a part of it. But he gets framed and puts into I almost said Alcatraz, but it's Azkaban.
Threw his ass into Alcatraz.
And he's like the only wizard to escape with no help, and he's all like crazy and a maniac when he gets out of prison, out of like this crazy high wizard prison in the middle of an ocean. He gets out and he's like fucking scary. And that's when you're first introduced to him, and you're like, oh god, this is some crazy wizard. You think he like killed Harry Potter's parents and he's coming for Harry, and he's obviously played by Gary Oldman, and you're like, god, this dude is crazy. But he was framed, and he's Harry's godfather, and it's happy, and then he gets murdered by his cousin, who's a pureblood, who's working for Voldemort, and it's just a crazy ride. He's just so cool.
One thing I want to say about Sirius Black is that whenever the spoilers, the movie that he dies in, whichever one that one is, whenever that came out, I took my little sister to a midnight screening of that. She wasn't actually a big Harry Potter fan. I had never seen any Harry Potter, but her friend was a big fan, so we went. And he kept me going. I thought Sirius Black was like the coolest part of that movie, and like kept me up, at 2 a.m. or whatever to watch a Harry Potter movie I wasn't interested in. So big Sirius Black energy.
I mean, it is.
He's got like such a stylish wizard flair to his clothing. He's not like super wizardy, but he's obviously wizardy, but it's still stylish.
He's dapper.
He's dapper, and he's a rich pureblood, and like his family dies, and then he does get to like be in their house, and you get to see like him dealing with being rejected by his family for just being accepting. They also had to marry their cousins, and he was not into that.
Yeah.
Okay, he goes
to keep it pure blood
because of that.
It sounds like some Game of Thrones shit.
I can't stop thinking of Clint Eastwood in these movies now. He would not be against this pureblood thing. That he would not. He would have definitely been a bad wizard, though.
Gets to ride a hippogriff.
We've got the Reno 90210 and the Escape from Azkaban Alcatraz. I like this really good.
I mean, we got to.
I'm glad I caught myself, like, sometimes words just come out faster than your brain can work. And I thought it like, oh no, don't say that.
I'm glad you said it, because it's a fun thing.
Who's fighting for guts?
Who's fighting for guts? Who's got the guts to fight for guts?
Big sword guy. I don't know anything about Berserk.
You've watched it?
I've watched, yeah.
Either. I know he's like the frame. He's like what started Big Sword Guy.
I've got the guts. Yeah, so we learned actually during the process, or I learned, I should say, that like Guts is. I didn't know that he's kind of a prototype character for Big Sword anime guy, like which has been reused in all sorts of video games, animes, mangas, etc. Like, so that's important that he's an icon of that genre. I found him, while watching, I think it's called the Golden Age section of the anime. I don't do a lot of anime, but I was recommended this one, checked it all out. Very much like Game of Thrones-esque, very medieval, kind of, not really even high fantasy, just kind of medieval warfare, subterfuge, all of that Game of Thrones kind of stuff without a lot of supernatural stuff, and Guts is just a mercenary with a tragic past and everything else. Very stoic guy who is kind of sucked into a family, essentially sucked into caring about other people, even though he's had this terrible upbringing and tragic past and everything else. So definitely in this sense of some character growth, it's there. He's cool. Like, he's unstoppable. Like, throughout even just the small section that I saw, he like loses limbs, he gets cut up, arrows, all sorts of different stuff, and he just keeps on going. So he's just like an ultimate badass. And like even like that characterization of him, where they allow him to get like the character design, I should say, like they allow him to just get ripped apart and like constantly have injuries, and like he just like looks like a mess, like where I left him, at least in my viewing. He just looked like a complete mess. And a lot of times in that type of media, where we're talking about video games or anime or whatever else, the main character kind of somehow comes just out of everything unscathed, and there's continue to be pretty and stuff like that. And that is not the case with Guts. Like he is fucked up, and I can appreciate that. Like I can appreciate
battle
the fact
damage carries over.
It does.
What?
His battle damage carries over to
like doesn't use X potions.
It's wild. It's wild.
That was never mentioned in the first argument to have Guts. Man. That's evolution right there.
Right. So I don't know if he should be docked from the fact that like he feels generic. Like while I was watching it, it felt very generic. that he was just like big anime guy, big sword anime guy. But if he's the first, if he's like the prototype,
The OG.
maybe that like gives him some points actually.
I mean, just to further the argument, there's a lot of big sword medias that came after. I mean, you got Final Fantasy, got Inuyasha.
Yeah, he is definitely like, I mean, like Cloud, like not knowing that like Guts came before Cloud, I would say, oh man, this guy's just a ripoff of Cloud from Final Fantasy, but literally it's the opposite way around apparently. Like
Yep.
Cloud is just this dude, is just Guts. So
But is that a good blueprint to start? Do we enjoy this type of character?
You know, I don't really I don't like
Belmont's
anime,
pretty
so
cool.
it's hard to say. I think his backstory is intriguing. Like if you did that exact same like storyline, but in in Game of Thrones, like that's kind of people's backstory in Game of Thrones actually, or like just in a well done like HBO series or something, like live action, like I'd probably be into that character. It's just like the anime-ness of it that doesn't work for me personally.
Was it? Yeah, I was about to say, was it better than any Game of Thrones character
Yeah.
backstory or that you really like? Or
No, I wouldn't say so. No.
I
But
mean,
definitely like more brutal, like as brutal as anything that you can think of, like in Game of Thrones or in any other like hard R type media. Like
Okay.
he's got a real brutal. Like his life starts brutal and just continues to be immensely brutal. Like he has to witness something happen to like his love.
Yeah.
That's truly horrifying. That scars her for life and like scars him for life
Scars
as well.
him, yeah.
Yeah. So
Ugh.
it's
Yeah.
they don't pull punches. Like that's the one thing. Like that character is interesting, I guess, for the like even just that like his journey. Like he goes through some shit, and that's just like the first quarter of the story I think that I've seen or whatever, maybe less. I don't know. And so I can't even imagine. What
That
else he
is an
goes through.
interesting take, the fact that like just because somebody's a protagonist doesn't necessarily mean everything's gonna, come up Millhouse for them. It's like
Yeah, it definitely does not. And
it's like old boy gets thrown through the meat grinder and he just keeps going through, man.
yeah.
But it's like I mean, other than that, it's like I think it's an interesting way of like portraying a story more so than a character. Because like it's like from what I understand in Berserk, like the whole entire world is just like kind of this fucked up like he's not the only person who's dealing with all this. He's just the character that is being pushed through all of it for the sake of story. But yeah, I mean that's cool that he's big sword dude. But Mike also made the point: is that the greatest blueprint that you want for a character? It's like just big sword guy.
No,
can
I
tell
think
you
just
what.
based on like suave factor or something like that, or like, oh man, which of these two? If we're gonna do the which of these two dudes do I want to have a beer with? I want to have a beer with Sirius Black.
I mean, it's Gary Oldman, so
I want to have a beer with anyone.
it's like because another thing that we have to keep in mind for these brackets is the medium that is being chosen for these characters. Sirius Black is the movies, and
Right.
he's portrayed by Gary Oldman in those movies. And Gary
Yeah.
Oldman's a
Yeah,
hell of an
it's
actor.
a solid backing.
Like I said, it kept me awake for however many hours that movie
then
was.
with Guts, it was the anime medium, and it, like you said, it's only like a quarter of the story. And whether if not we know past that point, like Ryan and Josh know, it's still confined to whatever medium it's being judged for. So I just don't think it has legs to walk on.
Yeah, we know all of Sirius's story. I guess
Yeah.
we still to this point do not know all of Guts's at this point. So
Gatsu.
that makes sense.
And it's a shame that the like creator of that series is dead now too. And of the Berserk. Like he died.
I heard George
Mhm.
R.R. Martin is picking that up. He's gonna finish it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, pretty soon too. He said like he's gonna get right on it, right?
yeah. Like how he's been
Yeah,
paid
he's
off
learning
by
to draw.
been paid off by
And,
HBO to stop writing Game of Thrones, or so he can write Berserk.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, good old George R.R. So are we going serious on this one?
I am
I'm serious.
Why so
deadly
serious? All right, Sirius Black over Guts. Good matchup. Just gonna recap what we had for the Magneto bracket. 16 entered, 8 remain. Thanos took out Magneto. Lou Bloom took out Ron Swanson. Tyrion over Sayori. Yennefer of Vengerberg over Harry DuBois. Ingrid Thorburn over Jim Dangle. Leeloo Dallas over Terence Fletcher. Undyne the Undying over Pippen. And Sirius Black over Guts. They will all get to the second round. Some interesting matchups. We have one more section of the bracket to complete till we get to to round 2. So the last section will be the Rust Cole section of the bracket. A lot of interesting matchups, including Russ Cole versus Kirby. So that'll be our next episode
Go.
of the Bracket of Nonsense.
Oh
You
my!
heard it here first.
That's the Costanza bracket too.
Bring a body bag, or maybe a bowling bag.
Oh, so that'll be the next episode of the Bracket of Nonsense.
I got my defenses ready.
This has been episode 37 of the Machine of Nonsense. We did the Bracket of Nonsense, the Magneto bracket section. It was something. It was something good there. We ask you, as always, check out our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a Facebook group called Monstars. Join the conversation there. Post your fun Machine of Nonsense stuff there. Leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/machine of nonsense. We want to hear from you, whether you do it on our Facebook page or you do it on our Anchor page. Leave us a voice message. We want to hear from you. We will put your content in future episodes. Thank you, as always, for listening. I'm your host, Eric. I was joined by Kayla, Aaron, Tomas, and Mike on episode 37 of the Machine of Nonsense. We're wrapping up and saying goodbye.
See ya.
Hi.